Hello friends, this is Viraj and welcome to GS Core. So as we do every day, we will be going through current affairs of the day. Those current affairs that are important from Prelims point of view. And the content that we get by discussion, we will use it to solve MCQs. We will also look into tricks and techniques so that you are able to do better when it comes to objective type questions. The topics of the day are S-400 missiles, United Nations resident coordinator, an Indian has been appointed. Also, counter-cyclic capital buffer, taken an important statement with respect to it has been released by RBI. Then the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan and the development, okay, the positive development that has happened with respect to it. At last, we will also look into Atul Goyal panel. Let us look at the first news. So, India will be receiving the remaining 2 regiments of S-400 surface to air missile systems from Russia. And when we will get it? We will get it by next year. It is in news because there has been a delay. And the delay was due to the Ukrainian war, Russian-Ukrainian war. Okay. But now what we see is there has been a statement issued with respect to the delivery of these systems. So S-400 Triumph, what are they? They are long range surface to air missile systems. Okay, and they are developed by Russian manufacturer called Almaz Central Design Bureau. Okay, now they are designed to engage in, or they are designed to engage to face aerial threats, which includes threats from aircrafts, drones and incoming ballistic missiles with high precision. So they in a way form defense systems. Take a mind you, these are one of the best defense systems at a very convenient and efficient price that India could acquire. S-400s are also known for their highly advanced radar systems. And these missile systems are able to tackle multiple targets at the same time, that too at a long range. Okay. They are operational up to 400 kilometers. Now this is basically a very important fact from prelims point of view. If I as a student look at it, now what will I have to remember? I would have to remember against what threat does the missile defense system save me. Second, its capability of hitting multiple targets, that has to be known, and the range. Okay, and the range with respect to height, it can work till the altitude of 30 kilometers. All right, as of now, which countries have acquired it? So it is Turkey, India and China. So here what we see is India and China using similar kind of technology. Though Russians have promised us that the versions are different. Okay, versions of missile systems are different. Moving ahead, we also, because we are learning about, or because we are taking into consideration S-400 missile systems, we are also expected to know about Project Kusha. Now what is Project Kusha? It is India's indigenous air defense system, and it is basically developed by DRDO. Other thing is, some private defense companies of India are also involved in it. Which defense companies, which private defense companies, will come to it in a bit. It basically is not based on technology transfer from S-400 system, but rather aims to develop homegrown solution. That is, we will develop our own technology and we will not use the technology which is instilled in S-400. Okay. So with respect to S-400, remember, transfer of technology is not one of the provisions. So we can only buy them and use them. We cannot use the technology and create a new missile like S-400 system. All right. So which are the other companies that are involved other than DRDO? So one is a public sector company, that is Bharat Electronics Limited, and it is one of the biggest suppliers at this point of time to the Defense Ministry of India when it comes to equipments of defense. ठीक है, अदर इज लार्सन एंड टॉर्ब्रो LNT, ठीक है। तो दिस इज अबाउट project kusha and it is very important from prelims point of view. Please remember all the facts that are presented to you. Okay. other than that the range of this particular missiles that will be developed, what will be the range? They can hit the target in the range of 150 kilometers, 250 kilometers and 350 kilometers depending on the version of missile. All right, basically depending on version of missiles. Okay. It aims to develop, as we have seen, sophisticated air defense system with capabilities that are specific to India's security. And what it will do, it will enhance self-reliance and reduce dependency on foreign suppliers. Reducing dependency on foreign suppliers is important for two reasons. First is foreign exchange, and second is when the technology is developed by us, it being the internal technology being known to the world is less, and because of this also what happens is nullifying the effects of missiles become difficult. All right, once the technology is known to the world, what becomes easy? Nullifying the effects. But because it is our technology and it is a technology that we are not sharing with anyone, it is difficult to nullify the technology and therefore the weapons. Okay, now let us look at the question provided on S400. What is the question provided on S400? The first question is, first statement is, the S400 air defense system is universal for destroying all types of aerodynamic targets and ballistic missiles. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Basically anything that moves in air and is incoming from the point of view of defense can be targeted by S400. Second, Project Kusha is India's indigenous air defense system. Alright, based on technology transfer from S400. Absolutely not. We are building it ourselves. The word indigenous comes now. That means the ammunition and technology both have to be from India itself. So first statement is wrong, second is correct. Our answer will be A. Only one. Moving on to United Nations Resident Coordinator. Now this is an important news. Maybe they will not ask you about Geeta Sabharwal, alright, but they will ask you about the office of United Nations Resident Coordinator. So the United Nations Secretary General, what he has done is he has appointed Geeta Sabharwal to be the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Indonesia. Now what is this particular position about and how important it is? It is basically very important. It is the highest ranking representative of United Nations development system at country level. What this particular position does? So this particular position leads the UN country team, and this UN country team basically will comprise of representatives from various UN agencies. Alright, in that country, representatives from various UN agencies, representatives from various organizations that fund UN programs, and also representatives of programs that are functional in a particular country, UN programs that are functional in a particular country. Alright, what again is the role of resident coordinator? So the person will coordinate and facilitate UN activities in the country and also ensure coherence and effectiveness in achieving development goals. So basically what the person has to do is he or she has to make sure that UN programs and UN activities in a country are in sync. So different organizations conducting these activities don't create a mess out of it. So mess should not be created. Activities should go in a planned manner and in effective manner. They should reach the goal, and the goal is to provide development. The goal is basically to provide development. All right. Resident coordinators are appointed by whom? UN General Secretary, Secretary General. ठीक है, तो please remember this particular fact. And the office serves as principal advisor to the host of government, principal advisor to the host government on US matters. So Geeta Sabharwal basically will provide advice to Indonesia on matters related to United Nations. All right, matters related to United Nations. It is also to be seen that not only UN but the country coordinator will work very closely with national authorities, that is government servants and NGOs or civil society organizations, so that national development can happen through sustainable development. National development can basically happen through sustainable development. How? By prioritizing policies and promoting those policies which lead to both growth and development, not just growth. What is the difference? Growth is concentrated upon increasing economic value. Development, on the other hand, is all round. It will also include how the money has been distributed, how the money that has been earned is used, and what are environmental ramifications of it. What are environmental ramifications of it? All right. Moving on. This particular resident coordinators ना, they are not chiefs of UN diplomatic mission, वो अलग होता है, ठीक है. So they are just there for the purpose of providing development or leading the developmental agenda in UN, and they report directly to United Nations Secretary General, not to United Nations General Assembly, ठीक है, to the Secretary General. Primary responsibility, as we have looked into, to promote values of UN, values and principles of UN, and mobilize resources or use resources so that development can happen. And which development? Basically sustainable development, so that you grow and you also develop, so that you basically grow without compromising on environmental demands. ठीक है. Moving on, let us now look into the questions provided on the office of UN coordinator. So first and foremost, consider the following statements regarding UN resident coordinator. He is the highest United Nations official and liaison with government officials. Absolutely correct. Liaisons matlab the person who is attached by one organization to a particular government. That is correct. He reports to UN General Assembly. Absolutely not. He reports to Secretary General of United Nations. Third statement, he also acts as highest officer of Department of Peacekeeping Operations in the country. Again, this is not correct. This is not correct. Because with respect to peacekeeping, UN has a set of other officials. UN has set of other officials who are appointed as special representatives. So first statement is correct, other two are wrong. Our answer therefore is only one. Azerbaijan and Armenia conflict, why is it in news? Both countries are moving towards normalization of relations between them. All right, both countries are basically moving towards normalization of relations between them after basically hostile relations for a decade or so. And for this purpose, what they are doing is they are trying to mend their borders so that people can travel into each other's territory. Basically, people traveling into each other's territory, what it will do is it will bring a sort of goodwill. And also it has to be remembered that these countries have been neighbors for years. Borders between them were erected by Soviet Union without taking into consideration national orientation of population of these two countries. All right. Basically, ethnicity was not taken into consideration, and because ethnicity was not taken into consideration while drawing the borders, the conflict of dispute, the conflict of border has arisen, and mainly it is with respect to Nagorno Karabakh region. All right, in the Republic of Armenia. In the Republic of Armenia, basically Azerbaijan claims this particular. In the Republic of Azerbaijan, this particular region is located in Azerbaijan. Republic of Armenia claims to have sovereignty over this particular region. All right, let us look into the corridors that will be used for the purpose of mending the borders. First is Lakhin corridor. Now this is a land route that connects Republic of Armenia with the region of Nagorno Karabakh. Okay, it serves as main lifeline between Armenia and the predominantly Armenian populated Nagorno Karabakh region. All right. The corridor is 8 to 10 kilometers wide, and it extends to 160 kilometers, linking Armenian town of Goris with the town of Lachin in Nagorno Karabakh. Historically, Lachin corridor has been a contentious issue. Yes, it has been, as has been the whole of Nagorno Karabakh, as it is subjected to conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, especially during the Nagorno Karabakh war in the early 1990s. Okay. After 2020, what happened was, after 2020 conflict, what happened was the corridor came under the control of Russian peacekeeping force. All right, Russia has a huge influence in this particular region, and it acts as the regional enforcer. All right. Then we have Zagreb corridor. Zagreb corridor is also known as Nakhchivan corridor. It is the proposed transportation route. What it does is, it is a transportation route that provides direct access between Azerbaijan and the Nakhchivan enclave. Currently, Nakhchivan enclave is geographically separated from Azerbaijan mainland by Armenia. All right, so basically it is the region that is under the sovereignty of Azerbaijan, but Azerbaijan is not connected to it directly. It is sort of West Pakistan having sovereignty over East Pakistan. All right, and because this direct connectivity is not there so what do we see? Logistical challenges for transportation and trade. Nakhchivan corridor will bypass, what it does is, it bypasses Armenian territory, and thus connects Azerbaijan with the Nakhchivan region. Through the Nakhchivan region. The corridor has been the subject of discussion and negotiation. Of course, it has been between Azerbaijan, Armenia and other stakeholders also, so that regional connectivity and economic integration is bettered. All right. However, for now, it is only a proposed initiative and it has not been implemented. Let us look into the question. Consider the following statement. Nakhchivan corridor connects Azerbaijan with Turkey. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. This is not the correct statement. We have looked into it. We have basically looked into it. The Nakhchivan corridor connects Armenia to Nagorno Karabakh. All right, then we have Zanzibar corridor connects Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. Absolutely not again. It connects Azerbaijan to the Naxchian enclave. Naxchian enclave. Let us look at which statements are correct. Both the statements are not correct. So our answer will be D, neither one nor two. Okay, then we have counter-cyclic capital buffer. Now why is it in news? So RBI has basically said, based on the views of its expert, RBI has said that it does not feel it is necessary to activate counter-cyclical buffer. What is counter-cyclical buffer? Chalo, let us now read about it. Counter-cyclical capital buffer is basically a mechanism. It is basically a mechanism that allows banks to build additional capital during the times of excessive credit growth. Alright, excessive credit growth matlab there is liquidity in the market and this liquidity is causing inflation. So counter-cyclical capital buffer basically is you suck the money out of the system so that banks have enough money with them, and this banks having the money, what it will do is it will reduce the liquidity from the market and thus impact the inflation itself. This capital is intended to increase banking system's resilience to systematic risks associated with credit cycle. Okay, so आगे जाके what will happen is basically banks will have enough money. The capital can be used to mitigate losses during the time of crisis, which aims to prevent credit crunch. Yes, this is very important. ठीक है, वैसे भी there is liquidity in market and because of this liquidity there is inflation. Better than inflation it is that money is kept with banks so that banks have adequate credit. ठीक है, and in the times of future it is able to provide for loans. It is part of Basel III regulatory capital framework and ensures that banking sector capital requirement take account of macro financial environment in which banks operate. Okay, during the time of excessive credit growth, banks are required to build up counter-cyclical. They are expected to build counter-cyclical capital buffer, which generally increases low absorbing capacity of bank. Absolutely. So because of this what basically will happen is banks can take hit of losses. Okay, they will not have credit crunch. Okay, now let us move to the question. Consider the following statements regarding counter-cyclical capital buffer. Statement 1, the counter-cyclical capital buffer is a regulatory tool. It is basically a regulatory tool used by central bank to mitigate systematic risk during the time of excessive credit growth and economic overheating. Absolutely correct. Okay, the activation of counter-cyclical buffers requires banks to increase their capital reserves during the period of economic expansion to build a buffer against potential future loss. Again it is correct. Okay, so they acquire credit that is in excess in the market and through it they avoid future loss and credit crunch. Okay, which of the following is correct in respect of the above statement? देखो, second statement is telling you the reason for the first, so hence our answer is A. Both the statements are correct and statement 2 is correct explanation of statement 1. Moving on to the last topic of the day, Atul Goyal panel. Alright, it is in news and it is in news because it has finalized the list of over-the-counter drugs for sale at general store. Over the counter, what is it? It is sale of drugs without medical prescription. Without medical prescription. ठीक है. So about this panel, it is basically a 3-person committee of gynecologists that was appointed by government to draft a list of over-the-counter medications that can be purchased at general stores without prescription. Without prescription is very important. Under the direction of Director General of Health Services, Atul Goyal, the committee hopes to finish the work in a way will completion of the work will take 2 weeks. The goal of this group is to lower treatment cost and encourage self-care while maintaining safety as part of India's new over-the-counter medical policy. So they want some drugs to be available freely so that going to doctor and then spending money can be avoided, but they also do not want it to be too liberal. They do not want it to be too liberal, because of which what may happen is resistance to medicines will be developed, which is then difficult to be cured. Also they do not want irrational utilization of medicines, including or mainly painkillers, which have significant impact on the organs like liver and kidney. Let us look at the questions provided to us on Atul Goyal committee. Let us look at the question provided to us. The first statement is it was formed to suggest measures to curb the practice of over-the-counter sales of prescription medicines. Nahi, it was to finalize the list of prescription drugs. India has well-established guidelines for classification of use and regulation on OTC medicines. Absolutely not yet. So the answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Alright. Friends, if you have any doubts, please mention them in the comment section. We will help you out, and also please download the ThinkU, which is provided, the link of which is provided in description. So it is basically the summary of news articles of the whole day. So it will be a shortcut for you, or it will serve the purpose for you. Alright, thank you so much. We'll meet soon. Bye.